challenged me to share the story of how I met Jesus, and so that's what I'm going to do. And please excuse me while I use my notes. So I grew up in a wonderful family with my mom, my dad, and my younger brother. We didn't engage in any faith community or have any religious practices, but my parents maintained strong morals in our home. I liked visiting churches with my friends because there were usually snacks in Sunday school. But the only message about Christianity that ever stuck in my mind was believe in God or go to hell. It was a message that really scared me and didn't seem appealing at all. I didn't see how religion could have any valuable place in my life beyond a few wise words of advice that could help me be a better person. Besides, I felt I lived a pretty upright life and better than many of my so-called Christian friends, so what good could Christianity add to my life? It seemed like religion was something that people made up to somehow make sense of this crazy world, but it didn't seem to have any more truth to it than a creation myth. My high morals, strict self-discipline, and natural obedience made me noticeably different from my teenage peers. Yes, I was definitely a goody two-shoes, and that led straight to social ostracization. To escape the pain of rejection, I dove headfirst into academics and extracurriculars. I buried myself in productivity and achievement, thinking if only I could just do more and be better, then maybe someone would like and appreciate and value me. Since my peers at school didn't seem to want to be around me, I remained utterly convinced that I wasn't worth anyone's time. I often found myself wondering, what is wrong with me? Then, a bout of depression my sophomore year brought me to a serious low as I entered my 16th summer, at which time I traveled to Australia to visit my grandmother for a month. On the first day, she encouraged me to attend a church service intended for the young people as a way to meet some other kids my age. I agreed, recognizing that it would probably be a good opportunity to start fresh with some people who knew nothing about me. And I definitely hoped to meet a cute Aussie boy. Well, I now know that God planted just such a boy in that church service as a way to meet me where I was and get my attention. As I sought to be noticed by this young man, I was pulled into Bible studies and youth group gatherings and even a youth group retreat. I was captivated by this boy's group of friends and how they related to the world and each other differently than any other teenagers I knew. They were kind and joyful and even forgiving toward one another. I wondered to myself, what is so different about them and what do they have that I don't? Fast forward a year, my cousin invited me to attend a week-long Young Life camp with her in New York. I knew nothing about it, but she was so convincing that I conceded. Upon arriving at camp, I proceeded to literally have one of the best weeks of my life. I felt so loved and accepted and lavishly served that I was moved to tears as a 17-year-old. Not only was that place heaven on earth for a teenager in terms of all the fun and food, excitement and energy, but that week I met someone who would change my life forever. No, it was not my future husband. It was Jesus. I learned about this man, a great lover, who had been pursuing a relationship with me for my entire life, and I hadn't even been aware of it. I got to hear God's whole love story about how he had created people to be in a sweet and trusting relationship with him. My mind was filled with an image of a boyfriend or a fiance committed to his sweetheart, pursuing her with all his heart, trying to prove his love by being with her, giving her good gifts, talking to her, offering her guidance. But she didn't trust him and didn't believe him. Again and again, this girlfriend or bride tragically turned away in stubborn independence, ignoring him, refusing his gifts, even cheating on him. But God, in this inconceivable lover, didn't turn his back on her. He ultimately demonstrated his commitment through his willingness to die for her, saying, "Surely now she will know of my love for her." I saw myself as this wayward girlfriend searching for love and acceptance and validation in all the wrong places, all the while blind to the great love available to me in Jesus. I was left with this mental image of God down on one knee, awaiting my answer to his marriage proposal. This was a message about Christianity I had never heard before, and it was utterly compelling. I could not ignore this invitation to relationship, so I committed my life to Jesus that week. I was definitely anxious about the fact that I felt like I was getting engaged or married to someone I had never met before, promising to spend my life with him after just meeting him. Still, I took the step of faith, even with a head full of questions and doubts, trusting in God to take care of me and hopefully answer some of my questions along the way. And He has. I definitely made the best decision ever that day. My life didn't change dramatically from the outside or all at once, but I could sense the transformation beginning on the inside. A lightness had replaced the heaviness, an inexplicable peace settled in my heart. I had so much to learn and still do, but the process was so worthwhile. I've had a relationship with Jesus for 15 years now, and life with him really does change everything. God has influenced my marriage, my relationships, my parenting choices, my work, my service, my finances, my everything. I can't say that life is easier or painless or that I have it all figured out, because that's not what God promises. But the assurance of God's constant presence and his faithfulness to fulfill his promises makes life richer, more meaningful, more purposeful, more bearable, more peaceful, and more hopeful. My husband and I have navigated moving homes, a messy job loss, several miscarriages, grief, conflict, relationship challenges, and battles with sin, but we haven't lost hope or faith. We know God has been walking with us the entire time, and a faithful companion is everything. Through it all, we have been able to find peace and hope in our belief in God's love, provision, and plan for us. He has been so faithful, and I am so grateful. And that's my story in a nutshell. If you'd like to ask me more about my journey, I'd be happy to share. Feel free to send me a message or give me a call.